Welcome to Speak of the Devils, the premier podcast for Sun Devil football. I'm Brad Denny with 3TV.
And I'm Joe Healey with DevilsDigest.com.
Joe, week one of spring practice is in the books. It was good to be out there hearing those pads popping and thankfully not hearing We Are the Champions played ad nauseum anymore. But we're going to recap all the week one action. Before we dive into all that, Joe, one very important question for you. How do you feel about a maroon football field?
Well, as we were all getting the day started here on Tuesday, there were some folks that were thinking ASU was going to have a maroon field. I got my phone was blowing up with text messages. People like, I can't believe this. This is awesome, or I hate this. And I'm telling everybody, brothers, look at the calendar. Look at the date. It's not March 31st. It's not April 2nd. Brothers and sisters, it's April Fool's Day. A lot of folks got bit by that gag today, but you know what? It's one of those things where, put it in a pro wrestling term, they might be working themselves into a shoot, because there are some people that are like, I know this is a joke, but I'm here for it. And you know what? If it looks like it did in that picture, that might be an interesting look.
I'm one of those people. Yeah, I mean, like 99% of like brands, teams, business corporations that try to have their April Fool's Day jokes out there on social media, there are terrible. But there's like that 1% every so often that's like, no, actually, that's a really good idea. You guys should do that. And I think the maroon field, I granted, yeah, it's grass would kill it, so it's got to be like last game of the season or something on a non-U of A hosting year. But like that looked great.
If ASU, or maybe if ASU were to host a college football playoff game, maybe you just go, buck wild with something like that. But yeah, it's a pretty good idea. And you saw some people get involved. I think I saw the Boise State, I don't know if it was their football or their athletics account, talking about how they're, cease and desist, that kind of thing. So folks are having fun with it. But yeah, that was a good blend, because some of the April Fool's jokes are so off the deep end, and kind of to be so that people don't think it's real. So it's like, hey, we are just having fun here. But some of them, yeah, kind of blend reality with comedy, and you're like, this could be real. And even though I'm confident it's not, I kind of want it to be. So who knows? We'll see. That's a huge undertaking. So I don't know that we'll see that anytime soon, if at all, because yeah, that would be a lot of, paint or artificially colored turf or whatever the case may be. But you know what? For this day on the 1st of April, 2025, it was a cool thing to see. And it definitely got, I know that post has got in the millions of impressions on Twitter. So you can't hate that.
Yeah, although if Kenny Dillingham or Sam Leavitt had their say, they were both strongly against. So I mean, nobody's perfect. I mean, again, that was really good. So yeah, we're gonna dive into all things spring football week one, 4 practices actually, as we recorded this on the evening of April Fool's Day. 4 practices of ASU's 15 are in the books. There's been some notable developments, some position battles that are ongoing, and we're going to talk to a couple new Sun Devils a little bit later on in the episode. Wide receiver Noble Johnson, who's making an impression as things go, and then cornerback Nyland Green as well. Before we dive into football, let's talk about basketball. Joe, mercifully, that season is over. Although, I think, as you pointed out, ASU was the last team in the state playing postseason basketball, and Bobby Hurley's team playing further into March than Dan Hurley's team.
I mean, these are all facts. We don't have to break them down and talk about, okay, well, ASU was playing in some certainly less than tournament. We don't have to go into the minutia of all of that. Facts are facts, man. And ASU was the last college basketball team standing from the state of Arizona. And to your point as well, back-to-back national champion brother of Bobby Hurley was on the sidelines while Hurley and company were playing. So that is I have to laugh, because it's the tiniest bit of solace and the pettiest bit of joy that one can take from a circumstance like this. But it was not a joy-filled basketball season, as you mentioned, mercifully over. And that game was kind of a microcosm, the game against Nebraska, kind of a microcosm of this season. A hot start, and I think a 8-point halftime lead ended up in a double-digit defeat. So ASU, as it had been for a great deal of the late stretches of the season, very, very undermanned, both by injuries and some transfer portal exits that have already happened. So they were not playing with their typically full allotment of players. But as you mentioned, it's just a season that you need to close the book on and move forward to next year, which undoubtedly we will talk about quite a bit in the weeks and months leading up to the basketball season for 2025-26. Going to be a very crucial one for Bobby Healey and the Devils to see what the future holds for him at ASU.
Yeah, so Bobby Hurley's obviously got to reload that roster that was ravaged by injuries, some portal departures, and two new names have committed to come to Tempe and be part of this upcoming crucial season for Bobby Hurley. Starting off with guard Mo Odom, a 6'1" guard from Pepperdine, probably the replacement for Alston Mason. Averaged 13 points and 7.5 assists per game last year for Pepperdine. He's got 1 year left.
Yeah, I think he had a great showing in their conference tournament. So an experienced player. It's just, and this is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's a similar tune with these players as we've seen in recent years since the transfer portal became a thing as far as for Sun Devil basketball. Bobby Hurley's probably going to get, a good 3, 4, 5 players that have 1 year available. It looks like ASU might be in a position where it's going to bring back quite, a handful more players than it has the last couple of years, where it's been like 2 to 3 players per year. So the first few additions, have been solid ones for ASU from the portal.
Yeah, and then the second one that came up is the well-traveled Marcus Adams, 6'8" wing from Cal State Northridge. I believe that he's now been tied to 5 schools in 21 months, but very productive player this past season for CSUN. 16.1 points per game, 5 boards, second team All Big West selection. He actually has 2 years left, so we'll see. If that second year turn is in Tempe as well.
Yeah, if he could keep a guy like that, that's pretty well traveled in for 2 years, that's quite an achievement. So, good to get the experienced players, and kind of like we talk about when ASU hits the transfer portal for football, such a big difference between a guy that has 1 year versus 2. Obviously, if they have 3 or more, that is very much icing on the cake. But to have him for more than 1 season, so you can avoid the turnstile of rebuilding the roster year after year after year, and obviously you could still exit and go somewhere else for that final year in theory, but uh, to have that availability, that's a big deal.
All right, so a couple of familiar names though that are in the portal now that some fans have been, raising an eyebrow or two at. Former center Duke Brennan, most recently played for GCU. He's hopped in, as well as old point guard friend Frankie Collins, who played his ball at TCU.
If I'm not mistaken, like, time goes by quickly because Brennan, I think, is entering his final season because he played 1 at ASU and he played 2 at GCU, if I'm not mistaken. So,
Oh
because he
man.
was on that team that ASU had that went to the NCAA tournament. So it's just wild how, we're not in those COVID era times where everybody's getting 6, 7, 8 years anymore. You just play 4 and you get out of there. And then Frankie Collins, yeah, obviously came to ASU from Michigan, then out to TCU. Barely played this year, had an injury very early in the season, was shelved. I think that's maybe how he has another year of eligibility, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see where things land with both those players. A veteran guard like Collins, who can play defense and score the ball, he's probably going to get some attraction from some major programs. And Duke Brennan is a big that averaged nearly a double-double last year for GCU. So that's something that can command a position at a pretty good program as well. So I'm sure a lot of Sun Devil fans will be eager to see where they land. I think maybe some are hoping that one, if not both, will pull like Austin Nunez and come back to ASU, but we'll see if that happens.
All right, so one program that's kind of finally done. They can quietly go about reloading and rebuilding over their offseason. But another program, Joe, that is now ascending, and ASU baseball is back in the rankings for the first time in a little bit, number 24 per D1 baseball. How are they getting it done?
Yeah, so that ranking and entering in the top 25 this week on the heels of a sweep this weekend at Utah in front of multiple fans. I hate to bag on them too much, but it's just an awe-inspiring thing to see. Very sarcastically said. I was watching some of the games. Of course, they were played in Salt Lake over the course of the weekend, and they've got some bad weather. But there was a game. I think it was Saturday. It might have been Friday or Saturday, and it felt like you could count like 5 people in the stands when they would show foul balls, and there were literally 2 people that you could see in the seats behind home plate, the standard view that you get there for the game. So interesting stuff there. But yeah, so the college baseball season for ASU, it's crazy to think of it, but it is half over, like exactly half over as we record right now. ASU has 28 games down, 28 to go. Now, one of those upcoming 28 is being played as we record. ASU currently with an edge over Cal State Fullerton in midweek action. But just give you kind of a rundown of as Brad asked, how it has happened here. We'll talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and what we want to see from this point forward. So ASU is 19-9, 7-2 in Big 12 play. As we mentioned, number 24 in the D1 baseball poll. ASU is one game out of first place in the Big 12 behind Kansas State. What's important to keep in mind, and we'll draw some parallels here between ASU baseball and Sun Devil football last year. Remember how the Devils on the gridiron, they didn't play teams like Colorado and Iowa State in the regular season. That certainly helped ASU win the Big 12. Similarly, for baseball, the Sun Devils don't play Kansas State in the regular season. Again, the team that's atop the Big 12 standings right now. So if we look at those standings and some of the teams that comprise them, things could get kind of interesting for ASU down the stretch here in the back half of the season. So Kansas is in third place behind ASU and Kansas State. ASU's already played them and won that series. Arizona is in fourth place. They come to Tempe for a huge 3-game set this weekend. But what should play and it could very well play to ASU's favor is that star Wildcat Brendan Summerhill. He's a bona fide first-round pick. He's going to be out all weekend. He's missed about a week or so of action and is expected to miss a month due to injury. So that's a huge loss for the Wildcats. And oh, by the way, for ASU, they've had their star outfielder out for a bit of time in Kian Vu. He returned to action tonight. So we'll see, hopefully everything remains in place for him to continue on as he was. So again, a big advantage if ASU can have Vu against a shorthanded Wildcat team. Now going back to that talk about the standings. So we talked about Arizona's in fourth place. ASU will be done with them after this weekend. West Virginia, they're in fifth place. The Sun Devils do not play them in the regular season. So of those, 4 other teams that ASU is in the mix with in the Big 12 standings, they've already played 2 of them or will have played after this week. They missed 2 of them. So again, that's advantageous. So you're looking at the back half of this schedule thinking you might be able to pile up some wins if you're the Sun Devils. ASU has won 32 games each of the last 2 seasons. And as we remember, ASU was just barely on the outside looking in terms of postseason play. So if the Devils can do something like come close to matching that 19-9 record that they started the first half of the season with, you get to like 38 wins. I don't think you're sweating out a postseason selection at all. So if we're going to break down kind of the good, the bad, and what needs to happen from here, a lot more good than bad for sure. You know what's good, Brad? Winning is good. Exactly. ASU 3-0 so far in Big 12 series. They're 6-1 in all of their weekend series so far, only losing to Minnesota. I'd say this is a more complete, more confident, deeper looking baseball team. The starting pitching and the team pitching has improved. The team ERA right now is 4.99. Last year was 6.53. The year before was nearly 6. So if you're holding teams under 5 earned runs a game in your ASU with the bats they have, that's going to help you have a successful season. Ben Jacobs, Jack Martinez, a great 1-2 punch as Friday and Saturday starters. Both have ERAs under 4.5. They're both holding opposing batters to under 220 batting averages. Elsewhere, the newcomers and the youngsters are getting it done at the plate. Transfers Kyle Walker, Matt King. Kyle Walker got off to a really rough start, but now he's hitting almost 370. Matt King was the Big 12 newcomer of the year this past week, and I think he had like 3 hits in each of the 3 games, if I'm not mistaken. Multiple hits each game. They're 1-2 on the team in batting average. Got youngsters like Landon Hairston, Brody Briggs, Jax Ryan. They're all getting a lot of time. They're all batting over 300. Then you got the stalwarts. Brandon Compton, he hit another home run tonight. He's looking like he's going to be a high draft pick. Jacob Tobias just doing his thing. The RBI machine. He's in the top 10 in the conference in RBI. Isaiah Jackson is up in batting average, which we've talked about quite a bit. That being the main area of his game that needs improvement. And then the kind of last thing that I had noted here as far as the good, really aggressive running, really pushing teams. ASU has 58 steals right now as a team, ranks in the top 40 in the nation. Last year, they had only 53 steals in 58 games. So they've already surpassed their entire season total from last year in just half the season. And you're seeing a lot of that with stolen bases, hit and runs, just aggressive on the bases there, and not to a sloppy degree. Obviously, when you take risks, sometimes it's going to go against you, but it's working in their favor much, much more often than not. So yeah, when you sum it all up, it's not a perfect thing, and we'll break down some of the things that need improvement, but there's a lot to be happy about so far through this first half of the season.
Yeah, like you said, winning is good, and being in the top 25 is good. And we're talked about the basketball side of things with Bobby Hurley facing a critical season up ahead. This was kind of a critical season for Willie Bloomquist, and after several years of not getting to the postseason, but as things stand right now, it looks like the Diamond Devils are doing pretty well in their quest to make a regional.
Yeah, I mean, with the start that they've had and the teams that are, after this weekend going to be off the schedule and what's up ahead. And again, I'll draw that football parallel because, you've got a team like Oklahoma State who was picked to be a very good, traditionally a very good baseball team having a real rough year. Texas Tech having a terrible year. These are teams that were expected to be pretty good in the preseason. That ASU, that again, kind of like the Oklahoma States or the Utahs in football that just we thought they were going to be a lot better in the preseason than they proved to be. So that could help ASU out a bit. I mean, I think you're at the point right now where, it's got to be an expectation to make the postseason. I think ASU has shown too much, and they've beaten some good teams and won some series over some good teams. And especially if they're able to get that series this weekend, then you've seen enough, and enough has progressed of the season to where okay, this team should be making the postseason. So just tipping into a few things that just need improvement. ASU is 3-4 in midweek games. That's not counting tonight's game that ASU is currently playing against Cal State Fullerton. Fullerton, of course, a team that a lot of longtime Sun Devil baseball fans know. A lot of history between those two teams. Not so much as far as the recent years, but that first decade of the 2000s just had some unforgettable, nail-biting, meaningful games. ASU took a 6-0 lead last week check, so ASU's looking good there. But as I mentioned, 3-4 in midweek games. Those are sometimes maybe not necessarily gimmies, but games that you should win. And I'd say the last couple of years, those have largely contributed. Losses in midweek games have largely contributed to ASU missing the postseason. So that's something that you want to see an improvement on. Still seeing some issues with the bullpen, blown leads. That seems to be improving, but you've still seen too much of that over the course of the year, since that's something that's just been hanging around as a concern pretty much since Willie Bloomquist became, head coach of the Sun Devils. So until that consistently is gone, that's going to be a concern. ASU's 2-5 in one-run games so far. Some of those have been those midweek ones. And then just lastly, just some time missed due to injury. Kean Vu, as I mentioned, he came back to the lineup tonight. Josiah Cromwick has missed some time, and he's still out as well. But all in all, the good certainly outweighs the bad, but you want to see some things getting cleaned up. You don't want to see that bullpen become an issue again. You want to tighten things up in midweek games and close games.
Yeah, so we'll see what the Devils can do down the stretch, and it's kind of the opposite of the Sun Devil football team in terms of that the one score game record there. So hopefully they can clean that up, and I think a lot of that goes back to the bullpen issues we've talked about for several years. All right, Joe, let's talk some spring football. Week 1 in the books. So 4 practices of the 15 are now officially in the books. Thankfully, also in the books is the "We Are the Champions" on repeat that Kenny was trying to do for the first couple of days of practice. Some mental mind games. Some players said it was torture, but that seems to have subsided. And now, so we'll run down some of the key storylines that have in developments through the first week or so of spring ball. Starting off at quarterback, Sam Leavitt talked today a little bit after practice, and the offense, at any spring or fall camps, the defense always seems to have the early edge, it seems. And throughout the first 2 practices in spring were just in jerseys and shorts, and the last 2 have been in pads. The physicality has been ramping up a little bit, but he said something interesting today, that they're working through identity issues. Now, you're losing Cam Scadaboo. We all know that it's going to be an offense that's going to be trying to figure itself out. More is going to be thrown on the shoulders of Sam Leavitt, and I think it looked pretty good. The deep ball, especially, he had a seam pass on to Kamari Anderson today that was good for about 70 yards. Really beautiful pass. He's had some ups, had some downs, and some O-line issues ahead of him. But I think as we talked about in our preview, the real storyline in spring, not just Sam leveling up, is I think behind him, Jeff Sims coming back is pretty valuable. He's actually, I thought, looked pretty good as well. Butter Tolfson has looked real rough. I mean, he's a true freshman, still learning the ropes. So I think that this could be an area where Jeff Sims might be kind of an underrated, one of the most important players on this team, especially when you have a quarterback that likes to run as much as Sam does.
Yeah, and Sam's taking some hits, and obviously he missed time last year. And I think that's one of those topics that those in the know, know, right? Because we've mentioned that on multiple occasions how important it is that Jeff Sims is still in this program, the presence that he has. And that can be on and off the field because the old adage, you're only a play away, and he was that play away last year was Sims when he got into the starting lineup against Cincinnati. So yeah, it's a situation where you just want to keep guys healthy. You feel comfortable enough with Sam Leavitt and the growth that he showed over the course of last year to where you want him to develop those relationships and those connections with the receivers and new parts of the offensive line. But as far as his play specifically, it would take a heck of a lot for you to get alarmed or anything like that regarding Sam Leavitt. But yeah, that depth chart, if people can just stay healthy, easier said than done. That depth chart is, kind of perfect, or at least it makes you pretty happy. I mean, you've got the guy who's going to be the preseason first team All Big 12 quarterback in the eyes of many, an All-American. Some might call him a first team All-American. I don't know. In Leavitt, and then you've got an experienced backup. And then you got some young guys. If you get down to your third quarterback, you're probably in some trouble to begin with. ASU's been in that trouble a couple times in the last decade. So, if there are struggles in youth and inexperience at that third rung of the ladder, not the end of the world. I don't know that ASU needs to go out in the transfer portal and just find some warm body with more college experience that could be that break glass third QB. But yeah, again, the pecking order and the people that create that pecking order, you got to be happy with.
Yeah, and also it should also be mentioned that Sam Leavitt has been without largely Jordan Tyson, who we can say he got dinged up a little bit on Thursday, but as Kenny said, there's no need to rush him back unless he's 120%. He's not going to see the field. That also kind of offers the opportunity to develop the rapport with other receivers. But let's talk about the running backs for now. Obviously, this is a pretty deep position. They add Kanye Udo, coming off a 1,000-yard, 10-touchdown season, to backfield with Kyson Brown, Raleek Brown as well. So far through the first 4 practices, Kyson's been kind of getting the majority of the 1 reps. Raleek Brown has been really jumping in and seeing a lot of those as well. Kanye's seeing some in there as well. I think overall, though, the run defense, as we'll get to, has been pretty good. They had some offensive line perhaps still filling itself out a little bit. Not a tremendous amount of huge plays on the ground, but right now it seems like Kyson, Raleek, and Kanye are kind of that tier above and really mix in. Obviously, Kanye and Kyson are more of those power backs. Raleek, the more explosive guy in that in terms of the skill set. Joe, what do you think? Like, is this going to be the year that we start to see more than one guy get the lion's share, and that we actually see maybe a true committee approach?
I think we have to shift the old, will this be the year of the tight end question, because that's been proven. All right. ASU is, check that box to, will this be the using the whole stable type of thing, committee approach, to where I'll believe it when I see it. Now then, obviously it's, but and because it's different people, that have been that bell cow back for ASU, whether it's Benjamin or X Valade, Rashad White, Cam Scadaboo. There are people that have. It's not just been one guy the whole duration. Obviously, now it's going to be interesting to see how it shakes out because Kanye Udo, it was someone that was a 1,000+ yard carrier for a 12-win Army team. Now, it can take time, of course, for players to acclimate to things, get used to things, earn the reps. There are many cases where whether it's, intentional or acknowledged or not, sometimes they just kind of make them earn their stripes to where they don't jump right into the first team. You got to earn it. You see that a lot with new players. Now then, it would be really interesting to see a committee approach. ASU has had obviously just so much success with that one guy, but you're not going to replicate a Cam Scadaboo. It's not easy to find another Rashad White or an Eno Benjamin or an X Valade for that matter. So if it happens to be by a committee, that's not necessarily a bad thing. As long as that's everybody being at their best and giving the coaches no option but to play a few guys. That's the important thing to me. What would concern me is if it's a case like, let's say hypothetically, I'm not saying this is the case, but hypothetically, if Kanye Udo just doesn't have it at this level, if he's not that every down guy, if he's not a 1,000-yard guy at a Power 4 conference, that would be concerning, because then you get a guy that you think is something different than what you're getting. But if it's a matter of Kyson Brown's leveling up, Kanye Udo's leveling up, Raleek Brown's leveling up, and you just got to get them all out there. That's not a bad thing. If you get some like DJ Foster, DeMario Richard, Kalen Ballage type thing, and I saw Kalen Ballage set a record UFL longest run ever. Good for him.
Yeah.
If you get something like that, then that's a good thing. And I think with the coaching staff and the talent of the players, you'd like to think that it's going to lean more toward just too many good players to only play one versus we're being disappointed by the players, so we got to change our philosophy.
Should say some of the guys further down the depth chart, true freshman Demarius Man Robinson. He's been getting some run with the third team and has some good explosiveness there. Jason Brown, I think really looks good in terms of coming into his second year. Alton McCaskill, still kind of a we'll see. I mean, he's been getting some lower, third team, fourth team run. We'll still see what he can provide there. But overall, I think fans should feel pretty confident about at the top. I've been on the Kyson Brown hype train for a while now, so we'll see. I'm not necessarily going to call the shot that he's going to be the starter or leading rusher or anything like that, but he looks like he's entering his third year now. He's really primed and at least positioned himself well physically and mentally and with his approach to perhaps make a run as being the guy.
And you like to see that. Like that could almost be like a Caleb McCullough type of thing.
Yeah.
Because you love to see guys who stick around. And obviously, Kyson Brown might be like the quintessential student athlete on the entire team. So and so everything aside from his tremendous athletic ability, which he has a lot of, he's a guy you want to root for. Not saying you don't root for the others. I'm just saying when you got a guy that came here out of high school, has stayed here, chose to stay here to be a backup, even in ASU getting 1,000+ yard rush in the transfer portal, that didn't shake him. For him to still be around, those are success stories that you want to see happen. Again, a guy like a Caleb McCullough comes to mind. If Kyson Brown can be that next version of that, that's something you want to see every year.
All right, so moving on to wide receiver. Now, of course, the big thing as mentioned a little bit ago, Jordan Tyson has been out since about midway through Thursday's practice when he has suffered a minor injury. But that same day he was thrown out the first pitch, so that should tell you exactly how concerned you should be. He'll be fine. But again, no reason to rush him back. You got one of the best in the conference. That chemistry with Sam Leavitt is through the roof. So that's really shown a light on a lot of the other guys that has been a really key storyline. And how are guys like Malik McLean going to take the approach? He contributed late in the year, some big catches in both the title game and in the Peach Bowl. Zechariah Sample is a youngster that's looking good. How's Derek Eusebio gonna fare? As well as 7 new faces, coming in, 3 transfers and 4 high school signees. I think so far, the early returns are promising. I think probably of the 3 right now, the FBS transfers, I would say Noble Johnson has looked the most consistent. He's been seeing some first team reps in place of Jordan Tyson. And today and Tuesday's practice had I thought his best day so far, really showing up some shiftiness. He cited that, he grew up as a Hines Ward fan and loved his mentality and approach to blocking. And a receiver who's willing to block will earn a lot of good graces with his coaching staff. He's done a good job there. Jaron Hamilton has shown off some speed at times as well. Jalen Moss has been rotating with the first team at slot along with Derek Eusebio, and who himself is having a pretty strong camp. Today, Zechariah Sample dominated the DBs in one-on-ones, blew by Xavier Alford on a go route, just showing some of that terrific speed, then made a tough catch over the middle, then had a diving catch, great adjustment. So I think there's some good options there. With Jordan Tyson out, there's going to be some, a lot of competition, a lot of balls to go around. Oh, I'd be remiss if I also didn't talk about true freshman Harry Hassman, who last Tuesday in the first practice had 3 or 4 huge catches in some team sessions and some one-on-ones, and kind of quiet on Thursday and Saturday. But I don't know if it's something about Harry and Tuesdays. He exploded again with about 4 big catches, including a couple deep ones today.
So if he gets going, we might have to remix Billy Gunn's old WWF music and call him a Hass Man instead of what you'd call him if you drop the H. So wide receivers, I think if you're getting something out of Noble Johnson, Jerry Hamilton year 1, I think that's a plus because those and it's just me observing things seem like guys that were maybe like a year or so away from being high level contributors. With Malik McLean, he's someone that should and can, but needs to ride that momentum that he got. He's been around a lot and he's made a lot of plays and he's played at power programs, Florida State, Penn State, doing what he did, those 2 catches in the postseason last year. That's got to help your confidence. So he's someone that, could be what we hoped Troy O'Meary would have been, that big body guy that can use that to his advantage, maybe the likes of which ASU hasn't really seen since, a N'Keal Harry. I'm not necessarily saying Malik McLean is going to go out there and be N'Keal Harry out there, but that just, big frame that can be used to a player's advantage. So, if you're seeing those younger guys and those new transfers that don't have a ton of experience stepping up and making waves, and if there can be, some depth and rotation at wide receiver, that'll be a big deal because obviously you want to spread things around, and you don't want to learn the hard way how valuable Melquan Stovall and Xavier Guillory were last year. They were incredibly valuable, and it doesn't really nothing really needs to be done to prove that, but that could be proven, concretely the hard way if the receivers that ASU acquired, be it the younger guys from the high school ranks or the transfers, happen not to collectively step up this fall. So it's good to see some early returns.
One position group that's really jumped out is at tight end for me. Obviously, Shimon Mateer has been running with the ones. He's the entrenched starter. He's the returning second team All Big 12 performer. But man, Joe, some of these newcomers, seeing them live and in action, Kamari Anderson especially, he's been stretching the field a lot. He's developed a rapport with Jeff Sims, I think in the first couple practices, but as mentioned earlier, had a huge reception, catch and run, running this like a go route, just ran by the defender, the safety there. He's a big body guy, 6'5" or so. Along then, of course, the true freshman AJ Ia, 6'6", 250-pounder, who's also been really impressive, just physically imposing. So I think right there that top trio is starting to maybe make offensive coordinator Marcus Royal salivate a little bit because he likes to use a lot of tight ends, and it looks like he might have a lot of good options. And you don't want to forget about Cameron Harpole being a veteran, experienced role player as well. I'd like to see maybe a little bit more from Jaden Fortier, but man, that top trio, we have the experience, but also a couple of youngsters there as well. Jason Mons is in a good place.
Man, we'd have to go back a while to think about the time that ASU had, multiple tight ends that were legitimate pass catching threats and did so on the field. We've had individual players who've stepped up. We've had, of course, we've talked about earlier in the show. We've had entire years where barely anything happens. But as far as, having multiple players, you might have to go back to the Zach Miller, Brett Miller, Andrew Pettis, rest in peace, Tyrese Thompson days, Lee Burgraff when he was around, that group of guys. Lee Burgraff, kind of like the Cameron Harpole of this year's team. That guy was blue collar all the way. Big fan of his. Throwing some names out there. So and then that was 20 plus years ago. You know what I'm saying? So when folks like us were in college. So ASU can have that, and it looks like that's the case. I mean, AJ Ia, like he was a bona fide star recruit, and he's getting it done. Like he's just following that trajectory. Kamari Anderson was a 4-star recruit. Shimon Mateer was a second-team all-conference player last year and had a very good year before that. So it's not necessarily surprising. It's just somewhat surprising because it's not a position where ASU has had the good fortune of, multiple players, whether it's Mateer or Jalen Conyers, or go back to the Cody Cole days and the Chris Coyle days, but to have a few of them, that could be a game changer.
Yeah, so 1 week in the books, we'll see how this group is able to kind of gel together and build that the rapport and chemistry. I should also shout out one of the stories of one of the cool moments of week one. A student photographer, I believe by the name of Grace Johnson, during the main event, AJ Ia ran past his defender on a long touchdown pass. Momentum took him hard in the end zone, ran over poor Grace. It mentioned AJ's 6'6", 240 pounds. She thankfully took the hit well, bounced back up. So props to her. Got a good shot, but just right there was just one of the moments where you saw AJ's explosiveness, at that size. And Kenny Dillingham even mentioned that he's a guy that cares, that has I think he said he cares at an elite level. And then when you have that and the physical tools that he has, that's a recipe for playing early.
Yeah, and I think it's some good dude points. I believe that I saw that like he tweeted or replied. There was some social media interaction, I believe, with that photographer, like apologizing and thanking. Everything was fine, but a good guy move there. I mean, there's no reason not to expect him to contribute this year and to do so at a decent level. He may not go out there and catch 30, 40 passes. He might be able to catch like 5 touchdowns or 3 to 5 touchdowns or make some plays that are like, dude, this guy is going to be the man. It gives the impression, and his credentials give you the impression that, as long as he stays healthy and continues to develop, that redshirt is not going to be a thing.
All right, so closing out the look on the offense with the line, and of course, with Maxi Hanachor, the starting right tackle from a year ago, he's out. So all through camp so far, the starting lineup has gone. Josh Atkins returning at left tackle starter. Sean Nah has been seeing a lot of run at left guard. That's because Ben Coleman, the last year starter there, has been playing center. Kyle Scott's been returning to his spot at right guard, and Jalen Clem has been playing a lot of right tackle. Now, Champ Westbrooks is seeing time both at left and right tackle as well. Overall, the move with Ben Coleman to center has been pretty good. Except today, though, there was a lot of snapping issues. Kenny Dillingham talked about it, but it wasn't just him. All the centers, it seemed like Ben was had a couple that were low today and kind of around the ankles, whereas Makula Pule and Shana, the other reserve centers there, were kind of launching them a little bit high there. We've seen Jameta Obibo rotating in at right guard as well. But overall, though, I think that this might be a line group that is still building chemistry, building themselves out. Now, obviously, ASU has a veteran defensive front, but there hasn't been a whole lot of success on the ground as of yet. The pass rush, especially up the middle in the interior, I think has been getting to the Sun Devil quarterbacks a little bit. So, obviously, this is there's a lot of familiar faces, but some faces that might be in different spots and some chemistry that is continuing to be built.
Yeah, kind of like we talked about at the wide receiver position. You hope not to be in a position where you learn the hard way how much you miss a departed player. And so in this, we'll be talking about a guy like Lee Fatanu. Again, an all-timer, first team all-conference, just such an amazing pickup that ASU got when Kenny Dillingham first arrived, and certainly hoping he gets his name called on draft day. Shifting players around to center, whether it's Ben Coleman or others, again, and that can take time, and it's certainly not the first time that any of us have heard of a player who's, an offensive lineman with experience, but just doesn't have experience at center, having to learn the ropes of just the actual snapping part of things and how that goes. So for that to maybe have little hiccups with it, not the end of the world at this particular point. Obviously, if you're getting into August and you're still having issues with that, then that's a whole different story. So that part, a little bit of wait and see, but you've got some talent there and some experience there and guys that are, not available now that presumably will be when the season rolls around. So it's not a bad thing to get practice reps for guys like a Jalen Clem, someone that had some really intriguing components about him when he came to ASU, just wasn't even a factor at all last year due to medical issues. But the fact that he's up there as the next right tackle up says something about his potential future for this program. So again, something to keep an eye on, but far too early to be terribly, terribly paranoid about it.
Yeah, it's a chemistry position and position group. So we'll see, how things progress over the coming weeks. Of course, 11 more practices than fall camp. A lot of will be revealed over that time. So before we dive into the defense, here's a conversation with new ASU wide receiver Noble Johnson. All right, so 4 practices in as a Sun Devil. How do you think things are going so far? How are you acclimating?
Acclimation is pretty good. It's going well, going smooth. Arizona weather is different than any other place I've been to, so that's one I'm having to get accustomed to. Playbook-wise, it's going well. This is the quickest I've ever learned a playbook. I'm getting very comfortable just day 4, but I feel that I'm progressing very well. My chemistry with the quarterback is getting better by the days going, and just as a team, we're all just working together to reach our goals.
Does it help that there's a lot of fellow Texans on this roster along with you?
Yeah. Ever since I got to the locker room, I just fit right in, and it wasn't hard to make friends, just because we all have a lot of things in common. So, yeah.
How do you feel like the wide receiver room as a whole has developed over spring ball?
Sure. All I know is it's crazy competitive. Everybody, you can just tell there's a lot of competitiveness in there. You got JT, Malik, there are the veterans in the room, so we all just look over to them. There's a lot of young guys in the room, so they all just keep their heads up to the older guys and just follow their footsteps.
What drew you to this program?
Hines Ward. You can't say no to him. Can't say no to him. My biggest thing was I just wanted to be coached really hard, so he was the person that I wanted.
Does he coach you hard?
Yes.
What were some of the conversations you had with him when you were thinking about coming over here and eventually signing?
First, on my OV, he grabbed some of my film, and he just broke it down. He was like, "Look, this is what we're not doing. This is what we are doing. I love your skill set, your technique, all this, great hands." And I could form you into who you want to be, where you want to go in life, which is the NFL. But boom, 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 these are things we're not doing, cut that out. And then that was that. He just shot it straight forward. I said, okay. And he's just rolling with him ever since.
How do you feel like him as a coach can help specifically your blocking? I heard him say no block, no rock, or your back. What is that kind of mindset like for you?
Throughout college, one of the biggest things I've noticed is you're a better receiver when the ball's not in your hands. So you want to be an all-around receiver. So when the ball's in your hands, which is probably 10% of the time, other 90% you're blocking. That's just how you got to do. You have to get your block, get your assignments, all that. And blocking is just key.
Do you have a favorite wide receiver that you follow or like to pattern your game after?
I feel like I'm a big guy that kind of runs like a small person. But I really looked up to Hines Ward when I was younger. He was the first NFL jersey I've ever bought. Nico Collins, DK. Those are my top two.
What's it like playing with a quarterback like Sam?
It's amazing. I've never had a quarterback that has that just energy and fireness to him, that fire in him. And he just makes everybody else around him better and just focused. It's amazing. I like it.
You're one of 7 new receivers in that room. What's that chemistry like coming along with you guys?
It's good. All the receivers are coming together. It's not like, oh, you're my competitor, let me just not talk to you. We're all just coming together, getting closer. We all know that it's more of a personal journey. So it's not me versus him, it's me versus me. So we all just tell each other to compete against ourselves every day. Come out here, put your best foot forward, be the best person you can be. And we all just keep uplifting each other.
What are you hoping to competition someone to bring out the best in
I'm sorry?
guys? Have you seen just that overall competition just bring out the best in everybody on the field?
Oh, shoot. It's brought out everybody's best. First of all, you don't embarrass yourself. Like open practice, it's a new team. You just want to put your best foot forward. But overall, everybody's critiquing you. Your teammates are always just in your ear telling you what you can do better, what you not to do. So just a lot of voices in your ear.
What are you hoping to bring to this wide receiver room?
Sure. Competitor. I want to bring someone that can help. I want to help this offense. I got great hands. I can run routes. My football IQ is good, and I feel like I could add to the team.
You talked about the weather, but what's kind of been the biggest difference between playing in South Carolina versus in Arizona?
South Carolina got nothing against this weather. This is the hottest I've ever been in my life. I knew I was hot because I felt like my skin was about to peel off my body. So I heard some people saying their tattoos are popping off their arms and stuff. But one thing I didn't know is that you might be dying of sweat. You might be dying, but you're not wet because it just evaporates. So that was kind of odd. But it was like, what?
Are you a little surprised that you're out here today and it's like cloudy and windy?
Yeah.
And
It's nice.
It's called dry heat, by the way.
Yeah, dry heat. Yeah.
Now wait till it gets to be 118 or 119 in the summer.
Oh, they told me about it. They told me about it.
You were able to play in the college football playoff just like ASU did. How do you feel like you can bring over that experience to a team that went on such a great run last year?
What I bring most is just I'm able to focus. I know what it takes to get there. And that's really that. I just know what it takes.
What do you want to show Hines and the rest of this offensive staff over the last 11 spring practices?
I can ball. Everything that they said about me in the past, that ain't it. I'm here on my feet all right. I'm a ball.
what stands out to you the most about Coach Arroyo's playbook?
Coach, man, there's plays everywhere. There's plays everywhere. You don't know what you're going to get, but shoot, you're going to get it. 6 every time. Touchdown.
What has it been like going from a coach like that with Sweeney, who's been around the game for a long time, he's proved that he's a winner, and then coming here to a coach like Kenny Dillingham, who's a younger coach, more up and coming, but still been able to win a battle?
That's a good question. Shoot, I'll say here you can just tell that everybody's coming together because we all have our mind is set on the same goal. We're always trying to hit that mark every single time, and it's very encouraging and very uplifting, and it just brings a smile to my face and just joy that everybody around me wants the same thing that I want. And I love it over here. I love it. It pushes me.
You said that Hines was the first jersey you got. When you sat down to talk with him the first time,
I
was
ain't
that like a
telling
childhood
I ain't telling
dream?
him that.
You didn't tell him that?
No.
Inside, was that like, oh my gosh, I'm talking to Hines Ward right now?
Yeah, that kid in me, that kid, shoot. I remember specifically, I was going to a Christian camp called Pine Cove. That was the first jersey I wore. Yeah. I love his game, his blocking, how physical he is. I want to model my blocking after him. Shoot, y'all seen his blocking highlights? Yeah, something else.
What are some of the returners like Jordan Tyson and Thane kind of tell you about Hines Ward coming in the spring?
Oh, he's the best coach I've ever had, and that was made clear this past few weeks I've been with him. Ever since I stepped foot on Arizona State's campus, he's the best coach I've ever had by far.
All right, let's turn our attention now to some of the storylines on the defensive side, starting up front. This is just so many familiar faces, Joe. I believe you pointed out on our preview episode, just one face gone from the 3 deep, that being Jeff Clark. And so far, this veteran group is performing like a veteran group that's very comfortable in the scheme, as mentioned with the offensive line preview or review. They're really kind of, winning the battles in the trenches more often than not. Especially really impressed with the interior pressure that the pass rush is bringing. Obviously, the pass rush is something that they need to elevate coming off of last year. CJ Fight, Zach Swanson, been seeing the first team reps in there with Clayton Smith and Prince Dorba, the starting edges, and really, really impressed by just overall their play, up the middle in terms of the pass rush. But also, I think both of the ends have been doing a pretty good job against the run as well.
Yeah, I mean, you got a guy like CJ Fight who made that stride that a lot of us were looking for, expecting, and hoping for last season to become, I believe, a second team All Big 12 honoree. Now, what's that next step? Can he be among the very best linemen in the conference? Maybe that first team all conference caliber player, and just again take that next step up the ladder. Zach Swanson, just one of the feel good stories last year. We know the story. A local high school product, went to Texas, didn't get a lot of time there, came back, became a factor for ASU, and should be an even bigger factor here in 2025. And for those edges to be solid in the run game is good as well, as we talked about. Really going to be counting on those guys, the line as a whole, getting better pressure. But as far as, the run defense and some of those interior linemen, for them to be looking solid, because you've got some depth there as well. I think you just got a pretty solid pecking order to work with. So that's good news to hear.
Yeah, and Elijah O'Neal and Justin Watley been seeing a lot of rotation with those ends. Of course, they as a lot of folks on the defensive side and Brian Ward himself say, like, if you're in the 2 deep, we consider you a starter. So they got a lot of depth there. So one thing that has jumped out to me though, Joe, is that some of the young edges, they're maybe path to playing time this year is a little blocked right now, but I think some of the guys like an Albert Smith the third, Sleacy Manu, Roman Petrie had a really strong practice today as well. Some of those younger edges that maybe not going to be, seeing a ton of playing time this year, but I think ASU's future at that edge spot is looking pretty good.
Yeah, and you never know when your number is going to be called. At the beginning of the year last year, we weren't really talking about a guy like Zach Swanson too much. A guy like Blazin' Lona Wong came in, made some plays for ASU last year. Now, obviously, that's more on the interior side of things. Even someone like Elijah O'Neal. Some momentum from 2023 heading into last year, and he had a very good year. So though these are not household names, though they're not ones that may even be in the 2 deep right now, last year proved to us that sometimes you just need an opportunity. And so we'll see if that comes around for these players. If not, there are going to be a lot of opportunities on both edges next year.
All right. So at linebacker, pretty status quo, I would say. The starters, Keyshawn Elliott and Jordan Crook, I thought have both looked really good. They're in their second year in this defense. I think they're feeling more comfortable, little bit more, in terms of just like kind of read and react rather than having to maybe see the thing that processing of a year ago that sometimes, just a guy in a first year in a system. And one thing that I'd really like to see is that they've been kind of getting involved a little bit more in the pass rush. Crook especially, he got a half sack with Fight earlier today as well. I think the rest of the group has been solid. Nothing standing out too much as of yet, but I think when you have a group like Jordan Crook and Keyshawn Elliott leading your position group, you're in good hands.
Yeah. Big thing from there, and it's not going to show itself until the season comes around, is just season-long consistency. Crook had some injury issues early in the year. We've talked about Keyshawn Elliott having the really hot start, but then kind of leveling off. Zyrus Fiaseo, a good season, but just someone that was that team MVP caliber player at San Diego State before he came to ASU. So again, just seeing those early signs that this group is going to be, consistent. And you pretty much are seeing that and expect to see it because they're very good players. You just want to see them push for higher levels of greatness.
All right, moving over to safety. Xavier Alford still looking like one of the best players at his position in the conference, if not the country, heading into this year. Mentioned earlier on that Miles Rouser is back in action after kind of being sidelined with a minor injury there for a couple days, but he was back in team session as well. Now, probably one of the big things that has been, heading into camp at least, who's taken over for Shamari Simmons at that nickel spot. So far, we've seen Montana Warren running with the ones, but Kendrick Breedlove, I mentioned him as a name to watch in the preview. He had a couple picks today. I think he could be a guy that really pushes, more experienced player than Montana Warren, but it seems like it could be a 2-horse race there.
Yeah, and so you've got some players that are a little banged up for the spring, but that's just the big question. How are you going to replace Shamari Simmons? Very, very difficult to do in terms of contribution. But Montana Warren got a little bit of run. Breedlove, someone that I'm interested to see. They've got a lot of players that can compete for time there at nickel. So I'm very confident that whomever emerges as the guy is going to be someone that's earned it.
So, and of course, Boogie Wilson, the Washington State transfer, he's going to be sidelined all throughout spring. He probably would have gotten the first team reps in Rouser's absence, but Jack Ball saw some time there and performed pretty steady there. Going on to cornerback, Javen Robinson was back after he's been at practice doing a lot of the drills and stuff and been a presence, but he hasn't done any teamwork until earlier today. So ASU starting corners finally got the chance to roam. One thing that I think the biggest storyline here is jumping out to me is that Keith Abney looks to me like he leveled up. Like he has every practice in my notes. There's at least 3 or 4 times where just like great play Abney or big PBU. He looks like he's ready to go. And then of course the third corner spot, there's a lot of young corners there. Rodney Bimage saw a lot of run in the team sessions and performed pretty well early in the spring in place of Javen Robinson. Nyland Green looks a little bit more like he's becoming more and more comfortable with the defense. So we'll see how this cornerback group shakes out.
And that's what you want to see, depth and competition. Abney just strikes me as just one of those great stories of someone who just takes a step up the ladder each year. He came to ASU without a ton of fanfare, played a good amount as a true freshman. Obviously was a year-long starter last year and improved greatly over the course of the season. And now we're talking about him, making plays in the spring to where it's just climbing that ladder bit by bit to where maybe he can become one of the – he's already one of the better cornerbacks in the conference, but more on like an all-conference caliber player. He didn't quite reach that level last year, though by the end of the season, both he and Robinson were playing at a significantly better level than they began the year. So that's a guy that is just quickly the pendulum swung, and now he's a elder statesman and, got to be a leader among the group there. So for him to continue to play as he's played and set the tone for the rest of that position group that has some young players like Bimage and others that can get out there, that's a good sign.
All right, let's finish things off with special teams. Now, this has been a little tricky to evaluate just because most of the time at these practices, the specialists go inside the dome, they do all their kicking, they hang out there for pretty much all the practice. However, there has been 2 times where we've been able to see the field goal situation. Now, that's obviously been the big area of focus. ASU adds Jesus Gomez from Eastern Michigan. And early on in spring, he had a 47-yarder that probably would have been good from 60. And then on, I believe it was Saturday night or maybe Thursday, one of the practice, there was a extended field goal kicking session. Gomez got off to a rough start. He hit from 38 and then missed from 40, 43, and 50. Karsten Kiefer nailed his 2 shorter kicks. Ian Hershey nailed his kicks from 43 and 50. And then kind of an interesting story that Kenny relayed is that prior to the practice in the team meeting, Kenny mentioned that, in the event that the offense had moved into the opponent's like the plus 38 on a fourth down situation, they were going to go for it. But then he saw that how Jesus Gomez reacted facially and kind of looked up and turned to him and was like, well, unless you can make it. And of course, that'd be about a 56-yard field goal. So later that evening in practice, they gave him that opportunity after shaking off that 1 for 4 from 58 and nailed it. Like he was probably going to be like 65, good distance, good range. And one of those kickers that just the ball sounds a little different coming off the foot than say some other kickers in ASU's recent past. So, we'll see better consistency, but man, he has a cannon.
Yeah, I mean, don't forget he's made a 55-yard field goal in each of the last 3 seasons, and one of them a couple years ago, I think his career long is either 57 or 58. So I mean, this guy can connect from 50 plus. Talked about it a little bit ago. it's going to take way more than, a few practice struggles for me to have any measure of concern with him. It's going to have to be a deal to where like he's not the kicker to start the season, or he starts the season really bad. Like it's going to have to trail, deep into August for me to have any kind of concern about that, because kickers are weird. They're weird. And so it might be a situation where when the lights are on, the pressure's on, that's a better situation. But Gomez is just far too accomplished. He's a veteran kicker that has done it at a very high level on a national scale, on conference scales, in difficult weather and tough atmospheres. He's done just about everything. So it's not a guarantee that he's going to be an All-American or anything like that, but he just has earned more than enough credit than, to have too much concern at this point, just a couple weeks into spring practices. But like you said, he's already showing some dividends as well. And you like that sort of thing where, hey, it's on the line. You got to make a long kick. Everything's on you. It's on your shoulders. It's on your leg. And he converts. That's what you want to see when the pressure's on. That'd be a great thing to see time and time again this fall.
Yeah, it's that confidence. And, Kenny said, when he looked at him, he's, in that meeting, I gotcha. And just like, yeah, just casually, and then goes out there and does it. Nails for 58. So we'll see. So before we close things out, though, after our look at the defense, let's get to know one of ASU's new cornerbacks, former 5-star corner, Nyland Green.
All right, so second practice as the Sun Devil in the books. How have these first couple days gone for you?
Amazing. It's been good. Nice weather out here with the guys that's out here working.
Yeah, so how you liking this weather as opposed to, maybe West Lafayette?
Good. It's very different. You went from being in cold to very, very high. It's feeling amazing to be out here. It's a great football weather.
What's it been like just, over the last, several weeks, getting to know these guys, getting to know the coaches, kind of just becoming a part of this Sun Devil culture? It's
been amazing getting to know everybody, getting to know all the coaches, just being out here, being able to play with my guys and be able to have fun out here with my guys and know the defense. We all just out here to win together.
How nice is it to have like a guy like Kindrich and maybe even JP and
amazing. Having Keisha come for me with Purdue for me, it's just amazing to have my brother out there on the field, and amazing to have my other brothers out there with me as well.
What kind of jumped out to you most about this culture of Coach Dillingham of working hard, but also guys having fun as well?
Everybody want to win. We're gonna do whatever it takes to win, but we're gonna have fun doing it as well. So I'm gonna do my best to kick your butt. You're gonna do your best to kick my butt, but we're gonna have fun doing it.
As someone who's been at a couple spots throughout their career, what are some of the lessons that you kind of picked up along the way that you feel have kind of prepared you for success this year?
Don't take nothing for granted. Everything is a process. Everything is a test for you. How you gonna go out your day? How you gonna go out through life? Just don't take anything for granted. Just make sure you process everything that you learn over the years, everything that you have been through, and just learn how to progress from it.
Why was Arizona State the right place for you?
It was just a great decision for me and my family, and it was really a true blessing from God. I prayed about it, and that was the answer that God gave me just to come here.
What really kind of jumps out to you most about this defensive scheme Brian Ward likes to run?
Oh, a man-to-man. We're not going to let nobody catch a ball. We're going to be on you like white on rice.
Some of these veteran corners, like Javen and Keith coming back, and some younger guys as well. How's that kind of that rapport and that chemistry building in that corners room?
It's good. Nobody has no hatred towards each other. We're all brotherhood. We're all trying to work and just learn from each other. Even though from Javen and Keith being here already, they're just teaching the other young guys from who's just up under them, ready to take their spot after they go into the league and whatever.
13 more spring practices. What are some of the things on your to-do list that you want to show these coaches?
Oh, man, everything. Anything that I can do to get better. My alignment, my assignments, any attention to detail, you name it. I'm trying to hone in on all the little details just so I can get better every day.
What do you want to show these Sun Devil fans come this fall?
Oh, that we can go way farther than what we did last year. So stay tuned.
Awesome.
Coming from the SEC and Big Ten, obviously two very physical conferences. So how much do you emphasize physicality now coming into the Big 12?
Amazing. It's just like the SEC. That's what I was talking to my to Crook the other day. Like I told him that this is the same record as Georgia. I've been around a two-time national championship team, and you coming here to ASU, I told him it's the same repeated cycle. I've seen the same task needs. I see the same scheme, the same guys who got the same work mindset who want to come out here and just win.
And that's kind of what attracted you to ASU?
Yes, sir.
And when you were in the portal, what were those conversations with Carrington and Kenny like?
You got to come here and work your butt off. Ain't nothing finna be given to you. Like, we're not going to give you anything. You got to come here. If you want it, you got to come get it yourself.
Definitely. And you don't have a pick in your career, so how much extra motivation does that add for you this season?
It's my last one. It's all I got. Go big or go home.
That's going to do it for this week's Speak of the Devils. I'd like to thank our guests, Noble Johnson and Nyland Green. Of course, spring practice is in full swing. Joe and I will be back each and every week, bringing you the latest all through practices, which means you got to be dialed in on social media. Follow us on Twitter at SOTD Podcast. Follow us on Instagram at Speak of the Devils. Subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook and give me a follow on all things social at BDenny29.
And you can follow me at Joe Healey 42. Huge thank you and shout out, as always, to our awesome sponsors. Starting off with Burrito Express and a little something from the good folks at BE here in the month of April. You know those burritos, of course, that incredible burrito named after the legend Cam Scatterboot. Every time you buy one of those, you're going to get a raffle ticket. Cam himself will draw the winner at the end of the month, and the winner gets game-worn autographed cleats, gloves, and a ball. That is quite a haul, all for eating some great food and supporting an incredible Sun Devil cause. So get on out to Burrito Express and get you some food and maybe win some good stuff. Also, a huge thank you, of course, to Cactus Sports. I know that they've had a sale going on. Check them out. I cashed in a little bit, got some more Big 12 champion merch myself. You should too. Jones Auto Group, DevilsDigest.com, Spaghetti Shack, as well as Sun Devil Family Charities.
And Home Field Apparel, and make sure to get you can get 15% off your first order at homefieldapparel.com by just using offer code SUN24 SUN24. Hey, you can celebrate ASU basketball's extended postseason run into March with their brand new 1975 inspired Sun Devil shooting shirt. Pretty slick, and 15% off your first order at homefieldapparel.com. Offer code SUN24. Once you're done supporting all of our amazing sponsors, make sure to drop us a 5-star review on the podcast platform of your choice. Joe and I will be back recapping next week's second week of spring practice.